here I am in self-exile on the stairs. I mustn't talk too loudly because they're all asleep. I have just put down Sigrid Nunez's The Vulnerables, and I've been reading non-stop, and they've all fallen asleep, man and dog, and I just thought I have to tell you about this one. So it's coming out in November, and it's from Virago, so Hachette, and oh my God, Sigrid Nunez, I bloody love her. This book is amazing. So she did two, very like this one. She's got about 9 novels now, but she did The Friend, about the dog who lost its owner and about grieving, and then What You're Going Through, which was about someone who wanted to look at assisted dying. And this one is, Nunez does this. She just goes into the territory of, and like, look at the cover, it tells you the vulnerables. So it goes into a period of lockdown in New York, and Nunez is making us very aware of how that affected people. But she's not really even talking about lockdown. Basically, in the storyline, the main protagonist, who you always feel is a little bit of Nunez herself, but it's a first-person narrator, is living in someone else's apartment in New York because she's actually given up her own apartment to a healthcare worker who's an emergency doc and has to have a safe bubble between isolated apartment and hospital. And she ends up in this apartment looking after somebody's parrot because that family's moved over to the country. It's great to be wealthy. And she's looking after a macaw called Eureka. Love it. And the person who'd been meant to be looking after that bird had sort of vamoosed. And he comes back, and he's a young fella. And Nunez plays a lot of games with sort of reality and who that person might really be. But she just calls him Vetch, which actually sounds like some villain out of a Dickens novel. And she and Vetch are kind of a bit jealous of this, like who gets to look after the macaw, who's a great character. And Nunez always loves throwing in the animals to give us a think about how we are and how we respond as humans and how we respond to non-humans. It's a very, going back to them, it's how these two are very unlike. They're a different generation. You feel Nunez is older, been through a lot more, and this young fella, she's constantly reassured by this wonderful group of friends that he's actually a good kid, very fragile, got into a couple of wrong things, and is in this kind of conflict with his parents. Anyway, so you've got that threesome in this apartment, lockdown, no one's allowed to go anywhere, the world is completely changed. So they're kind of, there's nothing to look at outwards, really. They have to look inwards. So Nunez spends an awful lot of time looking at beginnings of relationships, beginnings of books. She looks at endings, she looks at connections, she looks at this boy's fragility and at her own fragility. She looks at opening yourself up to new connections. She looks at how writers write about things and how there are rules, why there mightn't be rules. What's the human condition? It's just, and she kind of throws it all together. I was about to say like a crazy chef. That's not fair. She's not a crazy chef. She's like a loose knitter. She kind of stitches things in, and then later she'll pick up a thread, and then she'll have another thread. But she's one of those writers where you suddenly realise that novel writing for her has gone to that limit of, it's not that there's no plot, but she kind of picks the story off the plot. Yet it's still a novel. It's still in the realm of sort of the unreal, but she's really making us think. It's a masterclass in deceptive nonchalance. That's it, I better stop because I can hear them. It's all going to go to pot. That's me and Sigrid Nunez, and it's bloody fantastic, and you'll all be buying that one in November. Let's go. I'm gone. Sigrid, come here. forgot to turn the second thing off. Forgot to turn it off.